Welcome to Bible in the Backyard. Here we are today in chapter 13 in the book of Deuteronomy, Perek Yud Gimel. And the main theme of this chapter is the Mesit Umediach, the instigator, Israelite, who convinces his fellow brethren to worship other gods. And the law here is really harsh in its treatment of the Mesit Umediach. It requires a summary execution, summary judgment, and we're told in verse 10, Harog Zahargenu, there's this kind of double language, kill him, execute him right away. Why is the law so harsh in this treatment?
Yeah, and that harshness continues to rabbinic law also, where halacha actually bends all sorts of rules of evidence and testimony in the case of Mesit Umediach to allow things that are not normally allowed. The background's interesting. I mean, some of the phrases are taken straight out of treaties that we know, where a suzerain, right, a big overlord king, is now taking over a population and is imposing loyalty oaths on that population, maybe his own population, maybe he's native to that population, or maybe a population he's just conquered. And it's very, very harsh, right? And those phrases, those terms, then taken over here and sort of bumped up a level and made not a political treaty, but a religious treaty. And this is something that Devarim does a lot, but it's also gives a little bit of the background for this, right? Because the worst thing you can imagine is someone on the inside sort of spreading not just discontent, but sort of starting a cell that's going to then move from town to town, to city, convincing people to turn against the overlord, right? Because at the end of the day, the overlord is actually relying on at least the majority of the people being loyal for this to work. And that's true with God also. I mean, God, we know he has weapons at his disposal, but essentially he's relying on the people being fundamentally loyal and policing themselves, governing themselves. And that's true with regard to their neighbor who starts to talk about, let's worship other gods. You say, you got to quash that immediately. We can't allow that to spread at all. So it is harsh, but it's also sort of a realistic look at the politics of how these things can spread and just how subversive they can be.
And there's a necessity in the harshness, right? We've seen that theme earlier in the book a bit, and so now we're seeing it transcend from not so much a national, but to a kind of a religious level in relationship with God.
Yeah, it's realistic about it. I think sort of cold, but realistic.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.